Imagine you are sitting in the middle of EDSA at 5:30 p.m. Thousands of tons of steel and concrete are suspended beneath your wheels. You feel the slight vibration as a bus passes by, but you ignore it. You shouldn't. As we enter 2026, the geological clock in the Philippines has moved forward, and the return period for the West Valley Fault is no longer a distant warning, it is a countdown. While we talk about building collapses and fire safety, we are ignoring the silent killers, the bridges. In the next 45 seconds of the big one, Metro Manila and the provinces won't just be damaged, they will be amputated. We have analyzed the structural data and the seismic reality. Today, we reveal the 12 specific lifelines that are officially classified as the bridge trap. For decades, we've looked at 1990 as our benchmark for disaster, but 2026 marks a terrifying intersection of history and science. Most of our critical bridges were built during an era where seismic codes were primitive, and as the soil beneath them begins to settle, the risk of unseated bearings has reached a breaking point. When the magnitude 7.2 earthquake hits, it won't be the shaking that kills most people, it will be the isolation. If these 12 points fail, the food supply stops, medical teams are paralyzed, and families are separated by a gap that no boat can fill. Hindi na ito biro. This is a logistical nightmare that has been decades in the making, and the window to prepare is closing right now. Number 12, the Guadalupe Bridge. The Guadalupe Bridge is arguably the most dangerous single point of failure in the entire Philippine infrastructure system. Built in the 1960s, this bridge was designed long before modern seismic engineering was even a concept in our building codes. As we enter 2026, the structural fatigue of this bridge has reached a critical limit. It carries the weight of hundreds of thousands of vehicles every single day, yet it sits directly in the path of the West Valley Fault's most violent projected shaking. Structural experts have raised the red flag multiple times regarding its unseated bearings, the parts that hold the bridge deck to the piers. Isipin nyo na lang, if these bearings failed during the big one, the entire upper deck of EDSA could slide off its supports. Mapuputo lang hininga ng Metro Manila. This bridge doesn't just connect Makati and Mandaluyong, it is the main artery for the entire country's economy. If this collapses, emergency responders from the north will be physically blocked from reaching the hospitals in the south. It is a concrete trap that turns our busiest highway into an impassable canyon in less than 60 seconds. Number 11, the San Juanico Bridge. The San Juanico Bridge is a masterpiece of Philippine pride. But from a geological perspective, it is a high-stakes gamble. This bridge spans the San Juanico Strait, connecting the islands of Leyte and Samar, but its beauty hides a terrifying vulnerability to lateral displacement. As we move into 2026, the Philippine Fault, which runs dangerously close to this area, is showing signs of increased stress. The problem here isn't just the shaking, it's the way the islands themselves might shift. Because of its extreme length and the corrosive salt air environment that has eaten away at its steel joints for decades, the bridge's flexibility is compromised. Kapag gumalaw ang lupa ng malakas, the bridge segments could literally pull apart. If San Juanico fails, the eastern highway is severed. This would cause a total logistical blackout for Samar, leaving millions of people without a way to receive food, fuel, or medical supplies from the mainland. In a post-disaster scenario, this bridge becomes the difference between a managed crisis and a total humanitarian catastrophe for the people of Eastern Visayas. Number 10, the Fernan Bridge. In the Queen City of the South, the Fernan Bridge serves as the primary gateway to Mactan Cebu International Airport. While it is newer than the old Mactan Bridge, it faces a silent underground enemy, soil liquefaction. The ground around the Mactan Channel is composed of soft sediments that during intensity 8 shaking can suddenly behave like a liquid. As we enter 2026, seismic models suggest that the foundations of this bridge could literally sink or shift horizontally as the Earth loses its grip. Dito papasok ang malaking problema. If the piers move even a few inches, the tension cables could snap, or the deck could collapse into the sea. Imagine this scenario. The airport is full of relief goods and international doctors, but they are trapped on an island. There is no way to get that help to the main island of Cebu because the bridges are down. This isn't just a traffic inconvenience, it is a total disconnection of the Visayas' most important economic and emergency hub. Without this link, Mactan becomes a stranded island in a matter of seconds. Number 9. The Lambingan Bridge. The Lambingan Bridge in Manila is a prime example of an aging lifeline that has been forgotten by time but is remembered by the fault lines. Located in the heart of a high-density residential area, this bridge is built on alluvial soil, the soft, wet earth of the Pasig River Basin that amplifies earthquake waves like a speaker. As we enter 2026, the concern for Lambingan is the amplification effect. Even a moderate quake can feel like a magnitude 8 at this specific location. The bridge's old concrete supports are brittle, and if they crumble, the bridge won't just fall. It will block the Pasig River itself. Ito ang dead end na nakakatakot. Not only is the road gone, but the river, which should be a secondary evacuation route, is now blocked by massive chunks of debris. For the residents of Sta, Ana and nearby districts, this bridge is their only exit strategy. If it fails, they are effectively boxed in, surrounded by falling buildings and a blocked river with no way for rescue boats to reach them. It is a localized disaster that could cost thousands of lives. Number 8. The Ayala Bridge. The Ayala Bridge is often praised for its unique steel truss design and recent retrofitting, but in the context of the 2026 geological window, it remains a heritage risk. The issue here isn't just the steel structure, it's the connectivity gap. Even if the bridge itself survives the shaking, the soil leading up to the bridge, the approaches, is highly unstable. During a major seismic event, the roads at either end of the bridge are expected to slump or drop by several feet. Kahit buo pa ang tulay, hindi mo naman ito maakyat. This creates a scenario where the bridge becomes a useless island in the middle of the Pasig. Furthermore, because it is a key link to the Malacanang area and major universities, its failure would paralyze the government's ability to coordinate a response from the city's core. It serves as a stark warning. In 2026, modern engineering is only as good as the ground it stands on. If the earth beneath the Ayala Bridge liquefies, this historic link becomes nothing more than a monument to a city that was cut in half. Number 8. The Ayala Bridge. The Ayala Bridge is often praised for its unique steel truss design and recent retrofitting, but in the context of the 2026 geological window, it remains a heritage risk. The issue here isn't just the steel structure, it's the connectivity gap. Even if the bridge itself survives the shaking, the soil leading up to the bridge, the approaches, is highly unstable. During a major seismic event, the roads at either end of the bridge are expected to slump or drop by several feet. Kahit buo pa ang tulay, hindi mo naman ito maakyat. This creates a scenario where the bridge becomes a useless island in the middle of the Pasig. Furthermore, because it is a key link to the Malacanang area and major universities, its failure would paralyze the government's ability to coordinate a response from the city's core. It serves as a stark warning. In 2026, modern engineering is only as good as the ground it stands on. If the earth beneath the Ayala Bridge liquefies, this historic link becomes nothing more than a monument to a city that was cut in half. Number 7. The McGallins Interchange. The McGallins Interchange is a dizzying web of flyovers and ramps, but in 2026, this complexity becomes its greatest weakness. Multi-level structures are incredibly difficult to secure against the violent horizontal shearing forces of a magnitude 7.2 earthquake. As the West Valley Fault moves, each level of the interchange will sway at a different frequency. This creates a pounding effect where the upper ramps literally hammer against the lower ones until the concrete shatters. Walang kawala ang mga sasakyan dito. If you are caught on the lower levels, you are at risk of being crushed by thousands of tons of falling debris from the ramps above. This interchange is the gateway to the south, the link to Slex and the airport. If McGallins falls, the entire southern evacuation route of Metro Manila is closed. It would turn a major exit point into a massive multi-level graveyard, trapping thousands of people who were simply trying to escape the city. It is a nightmare of urban planning that we must face as the geological clock continues to tick. Number 6. The Bamban Bridge. Moving to Tarlac, the Bamban Bridge is a critical national asset that most people in Manila never think about, until their food prices double. This bridge is the primary gateway for agricultural products coming from northern Luzon. While it was rebuilt after the 1991 eruption of Mt. Pinatubo, The riverbed it stands on is composed of lahar and loose volcanic sediment. As we enter 2026, the seismic risk is compounded by the instability of this soil. If a major quake hits central Luzon, the scour effect on the bridge's foundations could cause a sudden and total collapse. Ito ang magpuputol sa supply ng pagkain. Without this bridge, the flow of vegetables, rice, and poultry from the north to the millions of people in Metro Manila stops instantly. We are talking about a national security crisis. The collapse of the Bamban Bridge doesn't just isolate Tarlac, it starves the capital. It is a terrifying example of how a single bridge in a provincial province can dictate the survival of the entire country's heartland. Number 5, the Marcos Bridge. The Marcos Bridge in Marikina is perhaps the most honestly placed bridge in our list because it sits almost directly on top of the danger zone, spanning the Marikina River. It is located just a few hundred meters from the actual trace of the West Valley Fault. When the fault moves in 2026, this bridge will experience the maximum possible acceleration of the Earth. Standard seismic joints were never designed to handle the near-field effects of being this close to a rupture. Literal na lalamunin ito ng lindol. The shaking here will be so violent that the bridge spans could be thrown entirely off their piers. For the millions of residents in Marikina, Antipolo, and the rest of Rizal, this bridge is their primary lifeline to their jobs and families in the city. If it snaps, these communities are instantly isolated, trapped behind a river with no way for fire trucks or heavy rescue equipment to cross. It is the ground zero of the infrastructure collapse, and for those who cross it daily, it is a ticking time bomb. Number 4, the Old Mactan Bridge. The first Mactan Bridge is a relic that is long overdue for retirement. Built in an era where seismic technology was in its infancy, its narrow steel spans and aging concrete piers are not prepared for the violent energy expected in 2026. Unlike modern bridges that have seismic isolators to absorb shock, this bridge is rigid. Kapag lumindol, babali ito dahil hindi ito marunong sumayaw sa galaw ng lupa. Furthermore, this bridge carries more than just cars. It carries the primary water and power lines for the island of Mactan. If this bridge falls, the residents of Lapu-Lapu City don't just lose their road, they lose their water and electricity in the middle of a disaster. This is the double threat that old infrastructure poses. You aren't just stranded, you are stranded in the dark without a drop of clean water. It is a bridge that has served its purpose for decades. But as the geological clock moves forward, it has become a massive liability for the safety of Cebu. Number 3, the Nagtahan Bridge. The Nagtahan Bridge is a heavy-duty industrial link that moves the lifeblood of the city, fuel and heavy cargo from the port of Manila. However, this weight is exactly what makes it a bridge trap in 2026. During an earthquake, the inertia of a heavy bridge makes it move with much more force than a lighter one. If the bridge is loaded with heavy trucks when the big one hits, the stress on its bearings will be astronomical. By 2026, the constant wear and tear from industrial traffic have made these structural components brittle. Isang pitik lang ng lindol, pwedeng humiwalay ang kalsada sa poste. If Nagtahan fails, the distribution of fuel to gas stations and the movement of goods from the port to the rest of the city stops. This paralyzes the entire recovery effort. You cannot run ambulances or delivery trucks without fuel, and you cannot get fuel if the industrial link is sitting at the bottom of the Pasig River. It is the plug that keeps the city's logistics alive. Number 2, the Bunton Bridge. The Bunton Bridge in Cagayan is the longest river bridge in the country, and in 2026, its extreme length is its biggest vulnerability. Long bridges are susceptible to a phenomenon called resonance, where the frequency of the earthquake matches the natural swaying motion of the bridge. This can cause the bridge to shake with increasing violence until the materials simply give up. As seismic activity in northern Luzon continues to rise, the risk to this giant is real. Masyadong mahaba ang tulay na ito para hindi tamaan. If Bunton fails, it splits the entire Cagayan Valley in two. Rescue teams and government aid would have to take a detour of several hours just to reach people who are only a few hundred meters away on the other side of the river. In a life-and-death situation, that delay is fatal. It is a reminder that in our archipelagic nation, our strength is only as good as the bridges that hold our islands together. Number 1, the Guadalupe Bridge flyovers. Finally, we arrive at the Astor failure. the complex system of flyovers and interchanges at Guadalupe. This is the #1 bridge trap because its collapse would be the kill switch for the Philippine economy. These flyovers were built with very narrow seismic gaps, meaning that during a magnitude 7.2 earthquake, the different sections will pound against each other like giant hammers. In 2026, this is where the road literally ends. The concrete will shatter, and the ramps will drop onto the MRT tracks below. Ito ang katapusan ng transportasyon sa Maynila. In one single event, you lose the country's busiest road and its most important railway. Thousands of people would be trapped on the elevated tracks and the flyovers with no way down. It is the ultimate example of why infrastructure is our greatest survival gap. When the heart of EDSA stops beating, the entire nation goes into cardiac arrest. This is the reality we face. And the time to look at these structures with critical eyes is now. We didn't make this video to scare you. We made it because the data is clear and the clock is ticking. As we enter 2026, we have to stop treating our infrastructure as permanent. Bridges are lifelines, but they can also be traps if we aren't prepared. Ligtas ang may alam. Check the PHIVOLCS fault finder today and see if your daily commute crosses one of these 12 points. Have a backup plan. Know the ferry routes, know the walking paths, and have a go bag in your car. We cannot stop the earthquake, but we can stop being surprised by it. The ground will move. The question is, will you be on the right side of the gap when it does? Stay safe, stay informed, and we will see you in the next deep dive.